Hey everybody, we're back in the shop again today. A little bit of snow last night, but nice and warm in here this morning. And this is that second F-head block. I just took this out of the cleaning tank yesterday. Got it nice and clean. And I started doing some crack checking. And I'm hoping I can get you in here close enough to see. Hang in there with me. Right. We're getting there. Hang in there. Right here. There's a crack radiating out from the seat. So, probably goes under the seat, radiates out this way, and it doesn't go too far. But if I leave it alone, it'll probably keep going. Top of this block isn't in the greatest shape. This is already bored 40 over, so somebody's been in here. Having some trouble with the camera focus. Somebody's been in here already, and they made it. The bore isn't straight. It's out of round. It's tapered real bad. And the amount of scratches and just overall poor quality of the head has me a little concerned. It'll clean up when we cut it. I'm not worried about that. And I know it hasn't been cut. And it's hard to see it, but the original stamp number is still in here. The bores are rusty. But this crack has got me down. But I won't ever usually scrap a original block. Cracks can be fixed cold. I'm not going to weld this block. I'm going to fix this cold, and I'll show you guys how I do that when when my parts come in. But you could just very rarely will you have to throw a block out if you want to put some time in it. If this block was cracked from end to end, it can still be fixed. I just want to show you guys that you can save blocks instead of buying those Chinese blocks that are coming in and they're just a disaster. And I know, they say they're great, but until you've actually used one, when you start using one, you'll be sorry. So I'm going to show you how to save. I mean, this is just a small crack, but if the crack went from here into the cylinder, we could still save it. If the water jacket was cracked, anything. The cold method of fixing these blocks can hold radiator pressure, can hold combustion chamber pressure. So it's a good way to go. And I've got to get this seat out. I've got to inspect the crack a little better. And I'll show you what it looks like when I get that seat out. And I'll order some pins and stuff that I need today once I know exactly how deep that crack is. And when they come in, I'll show you how to fix that. And we'll take this engine right through. We'll finish it right up. We'll put it on a stand. We'll run it. And I'll show you how the repair holds up. But that one's nice and clean. The other one's still on the mill. I've got to get that one off the mill. And do some things to this block. And I have a Ford GPW L head in the tank right now, and we took that apart the other day and found nothing but disaster in that one as well. So I have all the parts here on the cart. Matt took this apart the other day. We've got connecting rod issues. I had to break the pistons to get them out because everything was stuck so bad. Somebody had been in there and put every exhaust valve and intake valve spring in upside down. So this is why you got to take things apart carefully so you can inspect them later. Every spring was put in upside down. The valves were adjusted wrong. These tappets have a very big depression in there and a lip all around it because the valves were adjusted too tight. The big end of the rods is completely out of round. The crankshaft is only hitting in the center of these guys. The ends have never been touched by the crankshaft. So it's a little bit of a disaster. Crank is down there. I've got to inspect that. We've got some scoring in it. We got a lot of mud in that oil pan, just oil messed up real bad and thick and ugly. And we're in the tank soaking right now. So there is engine work going on, and I will try and show you highlights from everything. And the next thing I want to do is get that seat out of that F-head, and I'll show you that process and how we measure the crack and stuff, and I'll get some pins ordered and take you on a tour of how I do that. Okay, hang in there. I will be back with you in just a little bit. Okay guys, just pop that seat out. You can see what the seat is. That's a hardened seat, and it's an interference fit, usually about 5/1000. You'll cool this down and press that in. It's about a 5/1000 squeeze fit in there. A lot of different theories and a lot of different ways to get valve seats out. You could carefully come in here. You set this up on a mill, carefully come in, nibble away till it's almost to the edge, and then get under there and pop it out. You can buy very specific valve seat removing tools where they just get under there and they lever it out. The valve seat has a little lip on it. There's a little lip in there, and I just take the bar, and you can get it under that lip and just give it a good pull, and most of the time the valve seat will crack, and once it cracks it's easier to come out. This one cracked right there, and they come right out. The other vehicles are very difficult to get out. The valve seat's bigger, and for those, you know, it's nice to come in here with an end mill and nibble it away and make it weak and then pop it out. But for the L and the F heads, they come right out easily with a bar. And you know, like I say, you can buy valve seat removal bars, and they got different hooks on the end, and they're just enough to get in there and get them. But you don't need to spend money. You could just use a bar, something like that, and it works real good as long as the end can get in there and get under there. They pop right out. So don't go crazy trying to overthink it or have a hard time getting the seats out. They'll pop right out. New seats are available. I have some on order right now. We're going to investigate this crack, see how deep it goes, and see how far this way it goes. But the die in the developer popped that crack right out. It was easy to see as soon as I put a developer on it. That turned red, and it was very easy to see. So do some investigation now and get the pins ordered today. Hey everybody, back in the shop today. Got an F-head engine on the bench, and we've got a crack radiating out from the valve seat. It comes out here. You can see it in red. Can you see that red, Matt? And then it goes down into the valve seat. So we're not going to scrap this block or anything. And there's so much good technology now for fixing blocks. It's easy to fix cracked blocks now with the Lock and Stitch company. We've got little stitching pins. We're going to put one in on an angle that way, and then we'll come across with a few here. A couple different style pins I'm going to use, and I'll explain them as I go. But if you're one of those unfortunate few who have a L head that's all cracked and messed up, before you go with one of those Chinese blocks, maybe you want to think about fixing the cracks, and I'll show you how to go about it next. Hey everybody, we're back on this F-head a little bit. I've got the crack that went from the seat, the valve seat outward. I have that stitched up. Let me see if I can get you in there. There we go. Okay, it was cracked from in the seat area here. up the seat, and then back to here. So I had a little trouble with that because there's not much material behind the seat bore. And what I used were these stitching pins. The head actually comes off that. This head will twist off, and there'll be the threads in that little portion there. Those are specially designed threads, so when they go in there, they'll hold the block together. The crack won't spread. So that's one style pin. And then in the seat, there's another style pin. You see that shoulder is tapered, and that's what's down in the seat area here. So there's sealant on those. These are special threads, so I've got the correct drills, taps, stitching pins, everything from Lock and Stitch. I will try and get their information down below. But the crack is now finished, and I've got to bore the seat out a little bit and put a new valve seat in there and then do the grinding on that. But the crack is finished, and we're going to pressure test that. And I'm getting ready for the pressure test. See, I got my plate on the water pump, and we'll then, right in the drain block, the block for the drain, right there, that's where it drains. We're going to put a fitting and some air pressure in there. And what we need to do, hang on, having a little trouble with the camera. We need to block off all the cooling passages. We got big ones like this, we got little ones. Bolt holes go down into the cooling jacket. So what I'm making is a block off plate combination torque plate for when we bore it. Here's my plate here. You know, you can get torque plates for Chevys and Fords and things like that. And what you do is you bolt them down to the head, and that will distort the block like the head was torqued down. You can get about, you know, 3 or 4 thousandths difference from in your bore from when something bolted to the deck there. So it's not real common anybody uses torque plates on Willy's motors, but this is going to be our test fixture for the cooling system, and it's also going to be our torque plate. So we'll bolt this down. I still got to bore all the holes and stuff. I'm just starting to make it, and we'll bolt that down to the torque of the head. That will put the block in the perfect position. We'll bore it, and our cylinders, when the head is on there, will be absolutely perfect after the bore. So this is a piece of 2-inch thick steel. It's 18 inches long, it's 8 inches wide, and from my steel store, I just had them plasma cut the 4 holes out. I gave them dimensions. They did a beautiful job plasma cutting those. And because they did that, we have a little crown to the piece now. So this has to go in a milling machine, get flattened out, and I have to put all the bolt holes in here. And I'll lay a gasket out and lay all the holes out and pop those in there. And maybe we'll clean these up with the boring bar in the mill. So lots going on. We're making some progress on the F-head. I know I've had a lot of other projects, and I want to get moving on this F-head here. I've got a couple of them ready to go. So let's get the torque plate finished, and we'll keep moving along on the rebuilds. So I'll move it back over to the mill, and we'll try and get this piece flattened out. Okay, I'm just getting the plate of steel on the mill, and even though it's 2 inches thick, when you hit it with some heat with the plasma cutter, or even if we heated it up with the cutter here, it's still going to curl up on us. You see what we got there? So we're going to flatten this out, and once it's flat, And we're going to come in here, we're going to clean these holes up. I'll put the boring head in there, and we'll clean those holes up. They're very, very, very close on the plasma cutting. I was very surprised how close they got. They're within 3/1000ths of an inch of my finished size. So we're just going to go down in there, clean those up a little bit, maybe take them just a hair bigger. And I'm very happy with the quality of the holes. They followed my blueprint perfectly, and extremely happy with this. So it's coming out good. We're going to take that cutter that we normally do the there it is, that we normally do the heads and the blocks with, and we're just going to kiss that right there and take off as little as we have to make that flat. We'll flip it, we'll flatten the other side, we'll just keep flipping it. Might take a time or two. We're going to go extremely slow. I don't want to build up a lot of heat. The feed's going to be slow. We'll keep this as cool as we can, and we'll get it done. Okay, be right back with you. I'm going to clamp it down a little bit lightly and get everything set up and show you the process. Okay, we're just taking a very light cut off there. It's cutting mostly in the center and on this back side here where most of the heat distortion was, right around these holes. So it's going to take a bunch of passes to get this finished up. We're going to go nice and slow, keep the heat down. We got a slow feed. And we'll just keep whittling away on this until we're perfectly flat. And I'll show you how it comes out as it's happening. See, we're just starting to cut this side where the most distortion was. We haven't even touched any of this yet. We got a big hump in the center, and little by little we'll just make this perfectly flat. Hey guys, you can see how raised up it is in the center. I'm taking 8/1000ths of an inch cut. Depth of cut, 8/1000ths. And this is 3 cuts in. We're just knocking down the high spot in the center. This is the 4th cut coming up now. And we're just starting to cut lightly on the very end. Most of the crown is in the center here. Like I say, I'm not going to hog it out real bad. It's very cool. You can put your hand on it. I'm just going to go nice and easy. Slow speed, 8/1000ths inch cut, and we'll see what we get. We'll just keep whittling it away, and I'll show you what it looks like as we get a little bit closer. Okay, everybody, while that plate is milling, it takes a long time to get across that 18-inch plate. I'll show you what else we've been up to. Here is that early tool slot, early CJ2A body. And I have the tailgate surround in. You can see this here all the way around, and we're nice and square here and right here. Be very conscious of that when you're putting a body together or doing anything like that. I've seen a lot of guys get those way out of whack. Take your time, get that nice and square. And Matt has been going to town on these side panels. Let me sneak around the lift here, and we have the side panels welded on. You see all the spot welds. Matt's getting real comfortable spot welding, so that's good. You see it on the inside there. We got weldable primer behind everything. Both sides are done. And we're making progress on this, and I'll show you some of the body parts that we're harvesting off another body to make this one complete. Some little doodads. I'll show you. We'll head outside in a little bit, and I'll show you what else we've been up to. But side panels are on, and the whole back of this body is coming along real nice. We've got some braces on the inside of the wheel wells to put in, and some little bits and pieces, but things are moving along. Okay, that was our 5th pass. We almost had the whole thing. A little bit left to go here. We'll see a little bit down in that area we're going to have to get. And so far, we are 26 thousandths deep on this side. So not too bad. And we'll continue on and get this side finished and then flip it and flatten out the other side. Okay guys, what you're looking at here is a Vortec V6. And this came out of I think an 02 Chevy half-ton pickup truck. And you can see it's got all its fuel injection and stuff that I'm not going to keep on it. We're going back to intake manifold, carburetor, and try and get some power out of this guy. And this is what's going in that welder Jeep. And a lot of things have been happening with that, but I haven't showed you everything. But this is the engine that we harvested out of that truck, and I'll show you the teardown if anybody's interested, and how to get this from a computer controlled monster to a smooth running carbureted engine. So let me know if anybody's interested in seeing the transformation of this engine. And I gotta head back to the milling machine and see what we're doing on our 6th cut, and hopefully that has flattened the one side of it out. I'll meet you back over there. Okay guys, there's a straight edge on the first side, and it's perfectly flat, and we're unclamped from here. There's no built up pressure or anything that's going to happen when we let go. We're nice and free on the vise, and we've got a perfectly flat surface. So now we'll take this surface, flip it over, put it on our little parallels, and start milling the other side. And there'll be a big hollow on the other side because we had such a high crown here. So we'll just flip it and get busy on that. Okay guys, here goes the second side. Same type of setup. Nice and slow and easy. You see we're just bumping this area here. Same thing on the other side. We've got a big hollow in the middle. So we can let that cutter do its job and keep on making light cuts. Keep it nice and cool so we keep our hand on it. And it's going to take a while, but I'll show you what it looks like when that's done. Okay, here is our torque plate off of the mill. Both sides are dead flat, and everything is nice and parallel. And the next thing I'm going to need to do, here is a Felpro F-head gasket. And all of the bolt holes I'm going to have to lay out and drill. So we've got we've got all the holes for the bolts and everything else. You can see where all our coolant passages, everything will be blocked off so we could do a nice pressure test. And when this is torqued down properly, we will have no trouble at all boring this and have it come out of whack or anything. It'll be pre-stressed, like the head's going to be on there, and our bore will come out nice and straight. And like I say, it's not absolutely necessary to use a torque plate on an old L head or F head, but it does make it a little bit nicer. I don't know anybody that's doing them like that because it is a little bit of time and effort to go through making a plate, and you can't get them like you can for other engines. But torque it down, and you check your bore and stuff, and you'll see a difference between with a torque plate on and off it, and that's basically what your head's going to do. So torque plate is going to be beneficial to a high quality rebuild on this F head. And I'm going to get the holes drilled, laid out and drilled in there, and that'll be on the next video. I'll show you the finished product, and I'll show you how to pressure test the block, and that'll be on the next video. So just wanted to show you what's going on around the shop, and thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.